used to think that the worst thing someone could do was abandon you. Turns out the worst thing is pretending they care, then stealing from the pain you trusted them to witness. It started with a jar, a simple plastic container taped at the lid with my name on the front in red permanent marker. Help Ellie heal, written in my little sister's handwriting. It sat by the register of the diner I used to work at part-time, tucked between the tip jar and the napkin holder. I was 17, with a diagnosis no teenager should ever hear. Rare, aggressive, expensive. When the hospital bills became more than what Mom's part-time hours and Dad's construction gigs could handle, the community stepped in. And by community, I mean me. I set up the GoFundMe, I shared the photos. I uploaded the video from my hospital bed, bald and trembling, promising to fight if only I could afford to. People donated. Some dropped cash in the diner jar. Others gave online. My classmates held a bake sale. A teacher gave me $200 anonymously, in an envelope with hope written across it. It added up to over $28,000, not enough for everything, but enough to start the clinical trial I'd been approved for. That's what I thought. Until one day, sitting in the cramped waiting room with Mom flipping through her phone like it owed her money, I was called into the office, not the treatment room. Dr. Jansen looked uncomfortable. Her eyebrows knitted as she clicked through the screen behind. The desk. Ellie, I wanted to let you know, the down payment for your trial hasn't come through. We sent the invoice weeks ago. I blinked. But my family paid. We had a fundraiser. It was all sent to Mom's account. She tilted her head gently. We've sent 2 reminders. Nothing's been processed. I'm so sorry. If we don't receive it by next Friday, the slot may go to someone else. My throat burned. The slot I'd fought for. The trial that could buy me years. Hope. A chance. I walked out of that office with legs that barely felt like mine. I found Mom in the same chair, scrolling Instagram. And I opened my mouth. But the words got stuck in the same place they always did around her. Right behind the ache of, don't make a scene. When we got home, I went into my room. I locked the door. I opened my laptop. I logged into the fundraiser account, but the password had been changed. My chest tightened. I checked the email recovery. It had been changed too. Switched to my mom's email. I didn't say anything that night, but that silence was the first brick in a wall I never planned to build. A wall between me and the people I once believed were protecting me. The next day, my best friend Kaya texted, "Hey, did you see Lydia's honeymoon pics? She's glowing. Bora Bora?" I blinked. Lydia, my older sister, newly married. Barely. 6 weeks into her rushed backyard wedding to a guy none of us knew that well. She had told me they weren't doing a honeymoon. Said they couldn't afford it. I clicked on the post. My heart dropped. There she was, lounging in a floating cabana, crystal water behind her, skin golden in the tropical sun, holding a drink with an orchid in it. Caption, just married and just grateful Donner paradise, found Amar blessed life. Honeymoon magic. The location tag, 4 Seasons Bora Bora. A quick Google search told me the cost. Third has $200 a night. I stared at the screen as my pulse started pounding in my ears. My arms trembled. My fundraiser money, my pain, my fight, my friends, my teachers, my shaved head and chemo burns, turned into a hashtag under her luxury honeymoon album. I didn't cry. I didn't even scream. I just closed the laptop slowly, because I had been taught my whole life that I was the strong one, the understanding one, the one who shouldn't be jealous when others have good things. But this time, I wasn't going to ask questions. I was going to find answers. And I was going to make sure no one forgot where paradise came from. I didn't sleep that night. I just lay in bed, my laptop dim against the dark. The light from Lydia's Instagram photo still burned into my vision. Bora Bora. Poolside champagne. Hashtags like One Miracle Love and Aw Grateful Heart, as if my sacrifice was some ambient background music to her dream life. I'd never felt anything like this before. Not anger, not even heartbreak. It was something colder, a kind of hollowing, like someone had scooped out my insides and left just the bones of me behind. I didn't tell Kaya. Not yet. Instead, I asked her something simple the next day. Hey, do you remember who donated to my GoFundMe? She sent me a screenshot. She'd made a spreadsheet months ago. Said she wanted to track it all for thank you letters after I finished treatment. I opened it, and there it was, 147 names. Some with messages like, "Stay strong, sweet girl," or "I lost my sister to the same thing, rooting for you." There was Mr. Dansby, who lived down the street and gave $500. The Thompsons, who brought me meals for weeks. Even Kaya's little brother Max, who donated the $17 he'd made mowing lawns. I scrolled through them slowly, each line feeling heavier than the last. They didn't just give money, they gave hope. They gave it to me, and she spent it like it was a wedding gift registry. I knew I couldn't get into the GoFundMe account, not yet. But I remembered something else. When I set it up, I had linked it to a separate Gmail I made just for the fundraiser, ellieheals2024@gmail.com, to keep track of updates, thank yous, logistics. Mom must not have thought about that account. Clicked over, typed in the password I'd used. I was in. Hundreds of unread emails, payment confirmations, notifications, donation alerts. And then, nestled between them, was the one that made my stomach churn. Withdrawal request processed. $26,142.84 transferred to name Lydia James. Date 2 weeks before her wedding. The name Lydia. Not mom, not dad, not even a shared account. She'd used my pain and deposited it straight into her new, independent, glowing bride bank account, and nobody told me. Not even a heads up. No, hey, we'll pay you back later. No, she needed it more, just quiet, calculated theft. Wearing the mask of family. By Friday, I had a plan. I walked into the kitchen where Mom was peeling carrots over the sink. She didn't look up. "Hey," I said softly. "I need to talk to you about something." "Mm-hmm," she hummed, still scraping. The sound grated on my nerves. Dr. Jansen said the trial fee hasn't been paid. She said they sent reminders. Mom paused, just for a second. Then, "That's odd. I thought your father took care of that. Maybe there was a delay." I stared at her profile, so calm, so rehearsed. "And the fundraiser money?" "Used it for bills," she said too quickly. "You know that. Rent, groceries, all of it went toward keeping you alive. Even the $26,000 that went into Lydia's account?" Her hand stopped moving. She turned slowly. "What did you just say?" I met her eyes for the first time in weeks. "I saw the transfer. To her name. 2 weeks before her wedding. A long silence. Then, with the most infuriating tone of all, calm, condescending, she said, "She's starting a new life, Ellie. You're still young. You'll understand when you're older." I didn't move, didn't flinch, didn't cry. I just said, "I'm not angry." That made her blink. "Good," she said carefully. "I'm just keeping a list." Her face flickered. "What list?" "The names of every person who thinks I'm disposable." That night I went to Kaya's house. Her mom hugged me like I was breakable. I showed her the email, then I showed her the spreadsheet. Kaya looked like she was going to cry. Her mom didn't. She looked furious. "You want justice?" she asked. I nodded. "Then we're going to do this smart, quiet, and permanent." She pulled out a notebook. I used to work for the local news, remember? The notebook sat on the kitchen counter between us. Kaya's mom, Diane, flipped to a fresh page, her pen poised like a weapon. "This doesn't have to be loud," she said. "Not yet, but it will be." I nodded, silent. Kaya sat beside me, still stunned into stillness, fingers gripped tight around her mug of tea. Diane looked at me. "Start from the beginning. Just facts. No emotion yet. We'll let the story tell itself." I took a breath. The fundraiser started in March. I posted the video on the 12th. Donations came in through April and May. My sister's wedding was in mid-June. 2 weeks before, the money was transferred to her account. Not mine, not my mom's, hers. Diane jotted quick notes, eyes laser-focused. "And you've confirmed that with screenshots?" "Yes, I can show you. The email, the transfer confirmation, and the changed fundraiser access." "Perfect." Kaya leaned in. "Can we prove they used it for the honeymoon?" I hesitated. The timing lines up. She told me they couldn't afford one. Then suddenly they're in Bora Bora, staying at the Four Seasons for over a week. Kaya pulled out her phone. Her Instagram still has all the posts up. Diane tapped her pen. "Good. We'll use that. Geotags, timestamps, captions. Visual evidence helps, especially when paired with your hospital bills." I glanced up. "You really think someone will care?" She smiled. Not kindly, but with the kind of hard-earned confidence only older women seem to possess. "They will, because people hate two things more than anything: liars and thieves. You're not the villain here, Ellie. But we are going, to make sure the villains finally get their spotlight. We started small." Diane drafted an anonymous letter and submitted it to 3 local news outlets. She helped me write a post that looked like it was from a community whistleblower, not me. A young cancer patient in our town raised nearly $30,000 through donations. The funds were supposed to cover a life-saving clinical trial. Instead, her sister just came back from a luxury honeymoon. Coincidence? We think not. Receipts available upon request. We used a new Gmail. Attached were the screenshots, the GoFundMe withdrawal email, the fundraiser link, Lydia's beach photos with timestamps, and a cropped bill from my treatment team showing non-payment in red letters. Then we waited. 3 days. Later, Diane's phone buzzed. She handed it to me. "Channel 9 investigates. They want to talk." The interview was private. I wore a hoodie and a cap, no name on camera. They called me Ellie and blurred my face, but they showed everything else. My photos, my timeline, the fundraiser receipts, and the side-by-side comparison of Lydia's, honeymoon photos, and my unpaid medical statement. The anchor ended the segment with a chilling line. This story raises serious questions about fund misuse, donor deception, and a young girl's fight for justice. What happened to the money meant to save her life? The story aired Thursday night at 6 p.m. By 7:30, it had been clipped and posted on TikTok. By 8 p.m, it had gone viral. Comments flooded in. She needs to sue. This is theft. Someone used cancer donations for a honeymoon? I'm going feral. Name and shame. What's the sister's error? This is why I don't donate anymore. Sickening. Does anyone know where this happened? I want to send her a donation. Within a day, people found Lydia's Instagram. Her comments were locked by the end of the night, but not before people screenshot her blessed life captions and stitched them with my blurred-out chemo photos from the news clip. My mom didn't say anything for 3 days. Then, on Sunday morning, she knocked on Kaya's front door. Kaya's mom answered. She doesn't want to see you, Diane said flatly. Mom's voice trembled behind her. She's confused. She's been manipulated. I want to talk to her. She's finally thinking for herself, Diane replied. And I promise you, we've got plenty more coming. Kaya peeked out from behind the curtain. Mom looked smaller than I'd ever seen her. Red-eyed, tight-lipped, still trying to hold it all together, still acting like she was the one wronged. Later that night, Kaya and I sat in her room watching the story get reposted again and again. I didn't think anyone would care, I whispered. Kaya grabbed my hand. Everyone cares when the truth is this ugly, and you're not done yet. I looked at her. No, I said. I'm just getting started. The video hit 1 million views in less than 48 hours. TikTok, YouTube, even Reddit, people couldn't stop sharing it. My face was still blurred, my name never spoken, but everyone knew. Small towns don't hold secrets long, especially when the truth is messy enough to trend. And Lydia? She broke her silence Monday morning. She didn't call me, didn't apologize. She went live on Instagram. Kaya was the one who found it. She shoved her phone toward me at breakfast. She's doing damage control. I took the phone. There she was, perfectly lit, her hair in loose waves, a cup of matcha in hand, lips pursed in practiced sorrow. Hey, everyone. I want to say something about all the things being said online. A lot of it is twisted. A lot of it is wrong. And I haven't wanted to speak because it's personal. But now my family is being dragged, and I can't stay quiet anymore. My pulse thumped. She continued. First of all, I love my sister. So much. I would never do anything to hurt her. But what people don't understand is, when she was sick, we all sacrificed. We all struggled. My parents had to use that fundraiser to keep the whole family afloat. Rent, groceries, medications, bills. She looked down, as if emotional. And yes, I did go on a honeymoon, but it wasn't with fundraiser money. My husband's parents gifted us that trip. It had nothing to do with my sister's illness. People are making assumptions without facts, and it's destroying our family. The live ended after 11 minutes. I didn't speak for a full 10 seconds after. Then I whispered, "She just lied. On camera." Kaya's mom wasn't surprised. She sat down beside us with her own laptop already open. She's cornered. Of course she's going to spin. She said the trip was gifted, I muttered, replaying it in my mind. But the funds were wired to her account directly. I saw the transaction, and it was 2 weeks before the wedding. Kaya tilted her head. Can you prove it wasn't a gift? That stuck with me. I could. If I found one last document, the one thing I hadn't thought to check. That night, I logged into the email again. Scrolled deeper. Back to the early weeks of the fundraiser setup. The part where the withdrawal permissions were established. Then I found it. Subject: Fund Transfer Authorization. GoFundMe account. This document confirms that the fundraiser's financial manager has authorized the recipient of funds to be Lydia James. Signed, Margot James, Mother, Lydia James, Recipient. I froze. My mother signed it, and Lydia knew. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't a misunderstanding. It wasn't family sacrifice. It was fraud, planned in quiet paperwork. I printed it, taped it to a blank wall above Kaya's desk. We stared at it like it was a crime scene photo. Kaya whispered, "You should show this to Channel 9. Diane didn't even look up from her laptop. We will, but we're not stopping there. What do you mean? She turned her screen toward us. She was on a website, GoFundMe.com Trust Report, the official fraud reporting portal. And after this, Diane added, we send it to the GoFundMe Trust and Safety team. If they rule in your favor, they'll freeze her account, demand the money be returned, and possibly file a report with local authorities. My breath caught. They'd actually do that? Diane nodded. They've done it before, especially when medical fraud is involved. They take this stuff seriously. My hands trembled as I placed the withdrawal document next to the video screenshots, my medical invoices, and Lydia's honeymoon captions. We uploaded everything, every last file, every receipt, every lie, and we clicked Submit. The email confirmation came 2 hours later. Thank you for your report. Our trust and safety team is currently reviewing your claim. Due to the nature of the report, this may include an internal audit and, if necessary, contact with legal counsel. You will be notified with further updates. Kaya turned to me slowly. What, now? I looked back at the screen. The story was out there. The evidence was building. The lie had been exposed. But the consequences hadn't landed. Not yet. Now, I whispered. We wait for the fallout. 3 days passed after we submitted the report to GoFundMe. 3 days of refresh buttons, news replays, and unread messages piling in my inbox like digital ghosts. From people I hadn't heard from in years. Some kind, some nosy, some pretending. They cared now because everyone else did. But the most surprising message didn't come through my phone or email. It came as a knock. Kaya and I were halfway through a documentary when the knock echoed through her hallway. 3 sharp raps, controlled, not desperate, not casual. Diane opened the door, and standing there, looking uncomfortable and out of place in his stiff white collar shirt, was Matthew James, my sister's new husband. He was holding an envelope. Hi, he said softly. Is Ellie here? I stepped into the doorway, arms crossed before I even thought about it. His eyes met mine. I'm not here to defend Lydia. That surprised me. He took a step forward, offered me the envelope. I found this. In our home office. She didn't know I'd seen it. But after the news story and everything, I think you deserve to have it. I took the envelope cautiously. Thick, heavy, multiple pages. She said her parents gifted the honeymoon, I said, voice clipped. He looked ashamed. They didn't. She used your money. All of it. I didn't say anything. She lied too. Me too, he added quietly. Said it was a leftover college fund. Said you agreed. I didn't ask more. I should have. His voice cracked a little. I married someone I don't know, Ellie. And I'm sorry. After he left, we opened the envelope. Inside, bank transfer confirmations, printouts of messages between Lydia and her wedding planner. A note from their travel agent, with the exact amount paid, $26,742. 84, the same number withdrawn from my fundraiser. The receipts didn't just tell the story. They confirmed every suspicion. She used my GoFundMe as a personal wedding registry, a pool of money no one was supposed to question because it was family business. And now her husband was questioning it. Kaya leaned back, stunned. Holy crap, she whispered. He's turning on her. I stared at the last page, a note scribbled in Matthew's handwriting. I don't want to be part of this lie anymore. You deserved better. I'm sorry. GoFundMe's follow-up email came the next morning. They had completed their preliminary investigation. They found the transfer record suspicious, particularly the recipient discrepancy. They cited Lydia's account activity, the evidence submitted, and the inconsistency in the story she posted online. Per our policies, misuse of funds, especially those designated for medical purposes, may result in account suspension, refunding of donors, and legal escalation where necessary. The recipient account has been frozen. The fundraiser has been flagged. You will be notified of next steps, Kaya squealed. Diane smiled with grim satisfaction. I just sat there, still, quiet, until a single thought broke through. She finally can't spend another cent of what wasn't hers. But I knew Lydia. She wouldn't just sit back and take this, and... Sure enough, she didn't. The next night, she posted another video. Tears this time. Real or rehearsed, I couldn't tell. Everyone has turned against me. Even my own husband. I made mistakes, but I never meant to hurt anyone. My sister is letting strangers bully me, destroy my life, without even talking to me. I'm human, too. I was just trying to keep our family from falling apart. Kaya snorted. What part of Bora Bora was the charity effort? She's playing victim now, I murmured. This is her last defense. Diane nodded. Then it's time for your last move. That weekend, I wrote my own statement. For the first time, I put my name to it. My face. My voice. Kaya filmed it. One take. No edits. I sat on a stool in her backyard, breeze tugging at my sweater, my eyes locked on the lens. Hi, my name is Ellie James. I was diagnosed with a rare form of lymphoma at 17. I raised over $28,000 through a community fundraiser for treatment that could save my life. But instead of going toward the clinical trial I was approved for, most of that money, over $26,000, was spent by my sister on her wedding and honeymoon. I didn't know. I didn't approve. I didn't say a word for months, because I was afraid of being called ungrateful. But I'm not afraid anymore. This is not just about me. It's about every person who donated. Every neighbor, teacher, friend, stranger, who believed their money was helping someone fight to live. You weren't just betrayed, you were used. And I won't be silent to protect people who made that choice. We posted the video Sunday night. Within hours, it eclipsed Lydia's. The comments were endless. Not just sympathy, but solidarity. Other survivors. Other victims of stolen fundraisers. People who'd been used by family and told to smile through it. Even local businesses who had donated spoke up. A retired teacher sent me a message that made me cry. I remember you, baking muffins for that fundraiser. Even while you were on chemo, I hope you burn their lies down. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel sick from the truth. I felt stronger because of it. I didn't know she'd show up. By Monday evening, after my video had surpassed 1 million views and donations had begun pouring back in, this time straight to my new verified account, I thought Lydia would hide behind her phone forever, or behind Mom, or the last shreds of what she called family. But just as I was finishing dinner at Kaya's, the doorbell rang. Kaya looked through the curtain and winced. It's her. I stood, feeling my stomach tighten like a fist. Alone? I asked. She drove herself. No mom, no dad. I took a breath and opened the door. And there she was, wearing oversized sunglasses even though the sun had set. Lipstick smeared like she'd been biting her lip. Her hands clutched a designer handbag, one I recognized from her Honeymoon carousel post. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then she pulled off the glasses. I need to talk to you, she said. No cameras here, I replied, folding my arms. No hashtags, just consequences. I stepped aside, let her in. Kaya lingered in the kitchen, but I didn't ask her to leave. I wanted a witness. Lydia sat on the edge of the couch like it burned her. I know you hate me, she said. No, I replied flatly. Hate requires respect. I don't even trust you enough for that. She flinched. But she deserved it. I messed up, she said finally. I should have told you. We were panicking. The wedding was already planned. Mom said we could borrow it and pay it back. Did you? Her mouth opened, then closed. I didn't think it would blow up like this, she whispered. That's the problem, I said, leaning in. You didn't think about me at all. She looked at the ground. You don't know what it's like, Ellie. Everyone expects you to be perfect, to be the golden daughter, to plan a wedding and smile and be everyone's favorite. You got the sympathy. I had to be beautiful, I cut in, voice cold. Photogenic, worthy of a Pinterest, bored. She winced again. I kept going. You stood in front of hundreds of people and said you were blessed, but you were stealing from someone who was fighting for her life. I didn't think you'd find out, she mumbled. There it was. Not regret, not shame, just disappointment at being caught. GoFundMe's freezing the account, I said. There's a good chance you'll be investigated. They're contacting donors. People are already demanding legal action. She paled. They could press charges? Fraud is a crime, I said simply. I could lose everything. You didn't lose it. You spent it. That one landed. She looked up at me with wide eyes. For a second, I saw something real. Panic, not guilt. Then she tried one last trick. She stood up and took my hands. Ellie, please, just make one post. Say it was a misunderstanding. Say we're working it out privately. I'll give back some of the money. But this, the public stuff, it's destroying me. I pulled my hands away. You used my pain as your platform, I said. Now I'm using the truth as mine. Kaya stepped into the room then, holding her phone. It's already gone further than social media, she said calmly. You should know. Someone contacted us from the National Chronicle. They're looking into running a feature story. Lydia went still. They want to do a full piece, Kaya added. A cover story. Spotlight on fund misuse, donor betrayal, and online accountability. And guess what? They've already confirmed your name. Lydia's eyes darted between us. I'll be ruined. You chose that when you clicked withdraw. She left without saying another word. No apology, no promise to change, no confession. But I didn't need her to, because the truth was no longer something I whispered about behind closed doors. The truth was out in the open, and this time, no one was going to sweep it under the rug. I didn't feel triumphant. I thought I would. After Lydia walked out, after the door clicked shut and silence returned to Kaya's living room, I thought I'd feel some kind of relief, victory, peace. But I didn't. What I felt was something else. A shift. Like a door in my chest had opened, not to let pain in, but to let something old finally leave. Kaya hugged me without speaking. Diane just said, "You did what most people don't have the courage to do. You didn't just stand up to her. You stood up to every person who ever said, 'Family first,' when what they really meant was, 'Stay quiet.'" The next morning, the email came from the National Chronicle. Subject line: "We'd love to share your story nationally on your terms." They had seen the local coverage, followed the TikTok clips, read the GoFundMe statement. A journalist named Iris Cortez introduced herself as someone who specialized in real-life fraud and survivor stories. "We don't want to re-traumatize you. We want to platform you. The truth, the facts, and how you're turning it into something bigger than a tragedy." She asked for an interview. A photo, a chance to let me define the story before anyone else tried to reshape it again. I sat with that email for hours. Kaya kept glancing at me, reading my face. Finally, she asked, "What are you scared of?" I didn't answer right away. Then I said, "What if people think I'm just doing it for attention now?" Kaya looked me dead in the eye. "Ellie, you raised money to live. They used it to vacation. If anyone deserves attention, it's the one who told the truth, not the one who staged it." She was right. I said yes. The call with Iris was 2 hours long. We spoke about everything: the fundraiser, the trial, the jar at the diner, the silence in my house that grew louder than any scream. I even read her the letter Matthew had left. She asked if I wanted to name names. I paused. "Yes," I said finally, "because protecting people who harmed you just keeps their lies safe." The article went live on a Tuesday front page of the Voices section. They stole my cancer fundraiser for a luxury honeymoon, so I let the world know. By Iris Cortez, it opened with a photo of me. No cap, no hoodie, just me on Kaya's back porch, eyes forward, hands resting in my lap. No tears, no shame. Just the truth. It spread faster than I expected, bigger than TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, news blogs, podcasts. I even got an email from a producer at a daytime talk show asking if I'd fly out. But what surprised me most wasn't the fame. It was the people. One by one, donations started arriving again. But this time, not through a middleman, not through my mother, not through a platform someone else had access to. They came to me. Strangers, survivors, nurses, teachers, single moms. Messages like, "My daughter survived lymphoma. I would have done anything for her. You deserved better. I can't believe someone used your fight like that. Here's $20 for the dignity they stole. This happened to my cousin. She never got justice. You did. You're her voice now, too. By the end of the week, the new fundraiser had crossed $31,000. I stared at the number, numb. I hadn't asked for more. I didn't even know how to thank them. Then I remembered the spreadsheet Kaya made, the one with every original donor's name. I opened it again. This time, not to count what was stolen, but to write letters back. The local paper published a follow-up story. Headline: From Silence to Spotlight, Ellie James reclaims her story and her life. Underneath was a small note. GoFundMe confirmed full suspension of the original fundraiser. An internal review is underway. No charges have been filed. Yet. That word tasted like thunder on my tongue. I thought Lydia might try to post. Again. But she didn't. Not after her comment sections were filled with people asking when she'd return the money. Not after her former wedding planner commented shameful under one of her archived photos. Not after her own husband moved. Out. Quietly. But permanently. I didn't celebrate her downfall. I didn't need to. Some damage carries its own echo. Hers would follow her long after this. That night, as I lay in Kaya's guest room, my email buzzed again. Another message. This time, from a woman I didn't know. She introduced herself as a nonprofit founder. We help people recover after financial abuse, especially young adults affected by family exploitation. I saw your story. I saw how you stood up for yourself. Would you consider speaking on our next panel? I smiled. Because suddenly, this story wasn't just about betrayal. It was becoming something else. Something better. The room wasn't huge, but it was full. Chairs lined in neat rows. Folded programs. Bottled water at every seat. A warm golden glow from the string lights draped across the ceiling of the small community center in Portland. The Empowered Voices Recovery Panel. A space for people who had endured personal financial betrayal, often at the hands of those they loved, and lived to tell the truth out loud. Kaya squeezed my hand before I went on stage. You're not just a story anymore, she whispered. You're a voice. I stepped onto the stage. 3 other women sat in the panel chairs already. One who was sued by her own brother after she refused to co-sign a fraudulent loan. Another who escaped a toxic marriage where her husband had drained her savings. And a third who'd lost a college scholarship because her father forged documents for his business taxes. The moderator smiled at me gently as I took my seat. And when the microphone passed to me, I didn't hesitate. My name is Ellie James. I was 17 when I found out I had cancer. I was 18 when I found out the people I trusted most used the money raised for my survival to fund a honeymoon I wasn't invited to. The room went still. Everyone says family is everything. But what they don't tell you is that family can also be the first place you learn betrayal. I stayed quiet because I was raised to protect the people who hurt me. Because I thought speaking up made me selfish. But silence didn't save me. It erased me. People nodded. A few wiped their eyes. I spoke out not to get even, but to get free. And the only thing more powerful than healing is healing in front of the people who tried to convince you that you weren't worth saving. The crowd clapped. Not wild. Not loud. But slow. Steady. Real. After the panel, people came up to me in a slow-moving line. Some cried. Some shared their own stories. One woman just hugged me and whispered, You said everything I never could. I felt something inside me loosen. Something that had been coiled for years. Shame. Gone. Guilt. Fading. Fear. Dismantled. One truth at a time. But just as I packed up to leave, someone stepped out of the crowd. A woman in her early 30s. Hair tied back. Gray cardigan. Nervous. Eyes. I didn't recognize her until she introduced herself. My name's Amanda. I used to be Lydia's roommate in college. My body tensed. I didn't come here to defend her, she said quickly. I came because I needed to give you something. She reached into her bag and handed me a small manila envelope. She asked me to mail this after the wedding, but I forgot. I found it again after your article went viral. I opened it, and when I realized what it was, I couldn't believe it. I took it. My hands shook slightly. Inside was a folded handwritten note, Lydia's handwriting. If she ever finds out, tell her it was Mom's idea. Tell her we had no choice. Tell her I tried to stop it. And taped to the note, an actual physical check from my GoFundMe withdrawal, dated before the wedding, signed in my name, but forged. Amanda looked at me, her eyes wet. I didn't know, but now you do. I turned everything over to GoFundMe and the local DA's office the next week. The forged check sealed it. No one in my family spoke to me after the legal notice hit their mailbox. Not Lydia, not Mom, not Dad. But Matthew texted once. I heard about the check. I'm sorry. If I can be a witness for anything, let me know. I didn't respond. Some things don't need closure. Some people don't deserve it. By summer, I had started speaking publicly more often. Not about cancer, not just about fraud, but about freedom, and the strength it takes to walk away from the people who raised you when they also raised the knife. Was accepted into a writing program at a nonprofit that helps young survivors of financial abuse publish their stories. I started a podcast with Kaya called The Unpaid Debt, and within 6 months, we had over 50,000 listeners. I'm not rich. I'm not famous. But I'm seen, and I'm alive. My trial treatment finally began in October, paid for in full, by people who believed in me twice. A nurse once asked what I thought kept me going through it all. I smiled, slow and honest. People think revenge is fire, but it's not. It's light. She tilted her head, the kind that exposes everything they wanted to keep in the dark.